Oh man, I can totally relate. Are you okay? No, I'm not. He's suddenly there all solemn and gloom. By you intentionally lowballing someone on a plane. Bam! Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Preston. I am a professional recruiter in the technology industry. In this video, we're going to kick off 2023 and once again smile together as we go over memes from Recruiter Kenny, one of the funniest meme accounts out there. Make sure you give him a like and a follow. If you are excited as I am, before we get started, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. It would really mean a lot. Let's get started. There's always that one person who really secretly cares about you. Someone's sitting there lonely and one person is looking around the corner and secretly giving some good vibes. Yeah, but they are probably recruiters. Yes, this is very true. Recruiters, we care about everybody. Clients, candidates, hiring managers, we love it all. Can't complain. Next. Recruiters be like, December 31st, working hard. January 1st, this year will be different. January 2nd, working hard again. Honestly, what we do is like any other job. Majority of our time is focused around core activities, doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you're new to recruiting, a lot of things that we do, whether it's on the agency side or in-house, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of our time will consist of outreach to candidates, perhaps outreach to clients on the agency side, talking to candidates, managing interview processes, negotiations, offers, that whole shebang, managing and staying on top of the entire hiring process from A to Z. So as much as you think that this year will be different, this year will be exactly the same as you did last year. Just make sure maybe you can set your goals a little higher and shoot for the moon and go for it. Me on January 1st, there's a guy in the air with a snowball, about to hit another guy. Hiring managers who told me to circle back next year. Oh man, I can totally relate. I reached out to so many different types of companies and hiring managers, and even though they were intrigued to work with us, they just weren't hiring or weren't ready. And they're like, hey Preston, follow up with me Q1 or early January. And that's exactly what me and my team will do so that we can continue to create more and more amazing relationships where we can find rock stars for awesome companies that are impacting the world or taking over the industry in one way or another. Hi, my name is Ben, in this case Preston, and I work as a recruiter. Everyone, hi Ben/Preston, are you okay? No, I'm not. He's suddenly there all solemn and gloom. And as I mentioned, if you've been watching my videos for a long time, I try to be authentic and transparent as much as possible. Recruiting is not all sunshines every single day. There are moments, actually there are a lot of moments, even in the same day, but certainly over the course of the week and a month where you just feel down. Rejections and failures and ghosting candidates and ghosting clients and clients dropping you or candidates taking other offers. It really helps you to develop strong skin. But before you do that, it hurts every step of the way. My only advice there is to do your best to enjoy it and embrace the journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and do your best to turn that frown upside down. And even though you might have a difficult day or difficult week or difficult month, it's always going to be okay as long as you show up and be consistent. I work in human resources, sitting there with sunglasses feeling cool as a recruiter on a plane. Bam! I think there's always kind of like a friendly competition or a friendly affiliation or camaraderie between HR and recruiting. A lot of times recruiting is part of the HR team. A lot of times recruiting and HR are separate depending on the company, but there's always like a nod. We're all underneath the same like people HR umbrella, but we do completely two different functions. However, with that said, us recruiters, yeah, we think we're just a little bit cooler. I'm sure if you're watching this and you're in HR, you probably think the opposite. But as a recruiter, I am biased, love recruiting, changed my life, great career progression, can't complain. This smells expensive. What is it? Me, my LinkedIn Recruiter account. Yes, LinkedIn Recruiter is one of those platforms that you love and hate. You hate it because you can't be a recruiter without it, and you love it because, hey, you can't be a recruiter without it. And unfortunately, what really pains me is that it's extremely expensive, and the price just continues to increase every single year, which is why it's really important to save up, especially if you're an independent contractor, to do it, or do your best to kind of diversify and try to find other equally valuable platforms or softwares out there. So hopefully you can reach out to the same caliber talent to have those discussions to then ultimately submit to your clients. But hey, especially in tech, I can't speak for any other industries. I know LinkedIn Recruiter, Sales Navigator is used almost by every recruiter out there, including myself. I do use other platforms, other job boards, other aggregators as well, but LinkedIn is definitely one of my go-to, and you can't live without it. And you just have to do whatever you can to kind of swallow your pride and just pay that fee. There's a rotten or perfectly preserved corpse or a skeleton in a fetal position, and Mr. Harry Potter said, what happened to him? And Gandalf says, my client asked me to keep the candidate warm. That is the worst thing you can tell a recruiter, is because the recruiter went out of their way to find a candidate that he or she thinks is amazing. We submit them or share them with the hiring manager. There may be some sort of like evidence of excitement or validation, but then there may even go so far as to have an interview. But then what happens after the end of the interview? That candidate doesn't move forward. They're just stuck in this perpetual keep that candidates warm hell forever. And the crazy thing is, unfortunately, a lot of times, especially in my experience, the candidates, once they get in there, it's very difficult for them to kind of get out. It really goes back to the recruiter to be persistent, to continue remind the hiring managers of your candidate, really be an advocate to hopefully try to get that candidate out and move on to the second or third round of interviews. But the worst thing is thinking that you have a great candidate, you submit them and the client says, hey, I loved him or her, but I want to see others, let's keep them warm. And a lot of times your client will just end up forgetting about the candidate ends up getting another job, or your client just altogether gets excited about another candidate, and that's the worst case scenario. So us as recruiters, as much as we are the middle men or women, the middle person between hiring managers and candidates, it's really our job to also be a candidate's advocate and help them have a good experience every step of the way. If they are in this keep the candidates warm non-stop circle or a cycle, then it's our job to really get some feedback, do whatever we can to provide feedback back to the candidates, so that if they are unfortunately in a situation where the client's just never going to reconsider them, then let the candidate know so that they can get cut loose and continue with other interviews that are probably better worth his or her time. But if your client ends up forgetting about your candidate, it's really up to the recruiter to constantly remind, to go back and resurface the candidates that he or she really is excited about to the hiring manager. And hopefully the hiring manager, after speaking to maybe one, two, or a handful more, be like, you know what, I actually like this candidate a lot, let's move forward. So we want to do whatever we can to help our candidates not get through into this limbo state. But once they get there, it's really important that we go back to the hiring manager, we establish and maintain a really strong kind of a sense of communication, remind them, follow up. But if for any reason, worst case scenario, that the client wants to go with someone else, it's our job to get feedback at least so that we can share it back with the candidate so that they can kind of shut down the process in their mind, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and continue on with processes that are better worth their time. Christmas trees are like recruiters. Why? Dressed up on the outside, dead on the inside. No! Recruiting is tough. I'm going to say it again. Recruiting is a tough job. We go through tons and tons of rejections and failures every single day. Not only that, you're managing and you're developing so many different sets of skills at the same time, going 100 miles an hour, especially in the agency world. It's not the best career track for everybody. I definitely do want to preface saying that. But if you are someone who just loves chaos, you're okay with rejection, you're okay working on your sales and account management, customer success, negotiations, developing relationships, written skills, communication, verbal skills, and so many more at the same time, and you love that, and you have no idea how the day is going to go, how the week's going to go, how the months or the year is going to go, and that somehow inspires you and gets you excited, maybe recruiting is for you, and maybe you can do an amazing job. But not to overwhelm you, recruiting is a phenomenal career. We get paid to really help companies scale and really get paid to establish and create really strong relationships that can last for short-term, midterm, or the rest of your life, which is absolutely amazing. But like any job, it's no walk in the park. It does take struggles. It does take moments, and a lot of moments just push through, have strength. There's a lot of moments within our job where you're gonna struggle. You're gonna face a lot of difficulties. You're gonna burn out. You're gonna break down emotionally, psychologically. But that happens not just in recruiting, but with every job out there. And as long as you can be consistent, as long as you can wake up and attack the same day with the same amount of energy and really focus on developing strong relationships, recruiting can be a phenomenal career for anybody. And hopefully you don't have to be dead inside. You can be beautiful inside as you are outside. An actual photo of how well recruiters kept it together in 2022. I guess this like big wooden telephone post is being held together and still standing because of duct tape. And honestly, like after going through 2022, I'm frankly surprised I'm here feeling the energy I am, feeling well rested in 2023. 2022, without a doubt, was an insane year. But everything that I went through, I expect this year, 2023, to be crazier with a lot more economic headwinds and uncertainties and layoffs and all this crazy stuff that's also just happening within my specific industry, which is tech. So I don't know how I was able to survive 2022. I'm praying and doing whatever I can so that I can survive 2023, because without a doubt, this year, the next 12 months is gonna be a roller coaster, but I will do my best to show up, be consistent, give value, and try to improve to be the best professional I can every single day. But I know there will be future moments of weakness and burnout and man, why am I still doing recruiting? But at the end of the day, everything always ends up okay, as long as you just continue to take care of your work and your business and focus on developing strong relationships and not taking unnecessary shortcuts. Fingers crossed. A list of candidates in my December pipeline, looking at a small piece of paper. So December is one of those times where things slow down, but this happens across all industries and all markets. Recruiting is very cyclical. I would say the end of the year, holidays is when it's really, really slow, but I would say leading up to holidays is very hot because that's when typically hiring managers and companies have their budgets for that year, and they just need to get through it. January, February is super hot because it's a brand new year, new budgets, new headcount goals, let's go. And typically spring and fall are pretty solid, with the exception of summertime. It does slow down a little bit, but again, depending on which market you're in, which companies you're working with, a lot of companies are really, really strong on the summertime. And a lot of companies, even right now, are really continuing to grow and scale and hit record profits in the middle of recession. So it really depends on your market and your industry. But typically, from my experience, I would say beginning of the year, end of year is pretty hot, followed by, really good kind of spring and fall, followed by a little bit of a lull in summertime. But depending on your industry and your market, the whole year could be hot or the whole year could be difficult. I have no idea, but that's generally the rule of thumb that I like to kind of use to plan ahead for a brand new year. Everyone's getting into relationships, and you know what I'm getting into? Unqualified profiles in my inbox. Look, I get a lot of people reaching out and I'm very, very grateful. The only downside is I don't have jobs for everyone, and I wish I had jobs for everyone. So reach out to me if you're looking for a new job or you think you need help. I will do my best to get back to you. I'm very grateful. I never take for granted each and every one of you reaching out. I will do my best to respond, but moving ahead, I'm getting a lot more emails. And on top of that, as you guys know, I'm not a full-time content creator. I'm a full-time recruiter. So I will do my best in whatever spare time to get back. But I don't think any profile is unqualified. It's just not the best fit for whatever jobs I'm hiring for. And if I know of anyone else in my network, maybe another recruiter, other networks, other companies that might be hiring, of course, I'll do whatever I can to kind of give you a good name and intro you to the right person. But I don't think anyone's unqualified. It's just not the best fit for the positions at that time. But please reach out. I love developing relationships and hearing great stories. When you finally found the perfect candidate, but the hiring manager wants to see more. This is without doubt the most frustrating thing to go through as a recruiter. The thing is, I can understand and empathize from the hiring manager's point of view. They're hiring for a role. It's obviously a very important, critical role that they're hiring for. If they talk to one candidate that's amazing, then something happens in their mind. They're like, you know what? If I can find one candidate this quick, this early, this easy, who happens to be amazing, maybe I can find other candidates that are just as amazing or maybe even more. So the good news is your targeting is on point. The bad news is your targeting is so good that the hiring manager just wants to see more. And then now you have to do your best to keep that candidate warm, to fight for the candidate, pick your battles, and then try to find other candidates. But sometimes if your candidate is so good, the first one, you set the bar up so high, then you struggle with the second, third, fourth one. And then what happens sometimes, the hiring manager will go through another handful of interviews, unable to find anyone that he or she connects with after the first one. Then they're like, you know what, Preston? I want to resume with the first candidate. Guess what? That candidate is no longer on the market. Hiring and interviewing is a speed game. If you like someone, go for them. Chances are, if you like them, someone else likes them too. So go for them and complete the process as fast as you can, because you'll never know you had a good thing coming until that person is gone. So recruiters, keep doing it. I think if you find a good confirmation from your first candidate, I think that's a great sign. Your targeting is on point. You did everything perfectly. And then do your best to advocate for that candidate. Do your also best afterwards to show a cross-section of the market. If you can find the same quality candidate, find them. If you can find better ones, find them too. If for any reason you're like, wow, I lucked out with the unicorn, then do your best to show a cross-section of the market afterwards. And by doing that, you can show the hiring manager a handful of other candidates, some more senior, some more junior, some with must-have, some with maybe 70-80% what the candidate's looking for. And that enough with a good narrative and good advocacy behind the candidates, where you can kind of convince the hiring manager, hey, this is what else is on the market. You love the first one. I think it really makes sense for you to go with the first one and finish process as soon as possible to remain competitive, because they reviewed another 3, 4, 5, 6 cross-selection of the market. It's not exactly the perfect fit. And so now they can kind of retrace their steps and resume the process with the first one. If that does not happen, happen, then you're stuck again in this like plateau that I alluded to earlier. And you just have to honestly do your best to find the right times to choose and advocate for your candidate. But if that's really a no-go, then maybe you can find other opportunities for that same candidate because they're amazing. And at the same time, do your best to try to find additional candidates that could do the job. So it's never something that I always want to hear. It's kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's great because you and the hiring manager are connected and aligned in terms of the profile. But on the other hand, you did your job so good that they just want to see more candidates, and that means just more work. So sometimes you got to hold your tongue and do it, and then try to find strategic opportunities to advocate for that candidate again. And you can leverage other things about that candidate. For example, like, is he or she getting an offer soon? Are they moving forward? You can constantly use this information to remind the hiring manager, hey, this person is moving forward with other companies. Why aren't they moving forward with you? If you like them, let's finish the process together. When hiring managers ask me to deliver someone who is willing to take a big pay cut to join them, your wig, sir, are you telling the truth? What planet are you on? What universe are you in? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, I get asked this a bunch of times. I understand the company's thoughts in this. Ideally, when you hire someone, you of course want to hire someone as affordable as possible to kind of decrease and maintain your monthly burn and your overall overhead for your businesses. But at the same time, recruiting specifically in tech, it's extremely competitive. If you want to go after someone, chances are if they're good, they're going to be pursued by many other companies as well. So by you intentionally lowballing someone, it's going to reduce the chances of you being able to successfully hire this person because they're just going to get something close to the market or something past the market with other companies. So at the end of the day, like, it makes no sense to try to lowball for the sake of lowballing to save cuts and costs. If that's the case, you probably shouldn't be looking at full-time hires. You should be looking at freelance or contracting part-time, or maybe outsourcing to agencies or even international in more affordable markets. But if you are dead set on wanting to lower or offer someone a lower cash, I hope that on the back end, whether it's equity or bonus or some sort of performance scheme, that it just makes sense all in for that candidate, and it's not too much of a difference between what they're going to get paid all in from you and what they actually deserve on the market or what other companies are offering them. So I get it where the company's coming from, but at the filming of this in 2023, people are generally risk averse. Like, we just went through 2020 and then now we're in a recession here in the US, and so people are a lot more risk averse. So if you are a founder of a small company, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, it's going to be just more difficult psychologically to kind of get over that hump for people in general, versus like if you're a Google, Facebook, Amazon, which is ironic because they're kind of going through massive layoffs. But typically people think that the bigger the company, the stable it is. Well, if there's one thing that we learned last year, that's not the case. But if you were to take 2022 and 2021 away, that's what most people believe in. And so if you take those kind of anomaly examples away, people genuinely think smaller companies are risky. So to mitigate that, even if you offer a lower salary, but that's the highest that you can go, and I'm talking from the founder or hiring manager's point of view, do your best. Whether it's your mission, the product, the scope, title raise, whether it's increase in maybe scope, or maybe it's your team or culture, or maybe equity, or a combination of all of those things that can make the offer attractive enough for a top tier talent to consider your offer and opportunity seriously. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. As always, it's an absolute pleasure and so much fun going over these memes with you all. If you have other videos, other questions that you want me to answer, I will certainly do my best to include them in the future videos. If you want to see more videos just like these, feel free to comment down below. If you enjoy this, if I was able to get you smile once, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot. And also, please don't forget to follow me on Preston_Park as I try my best to also post behind the scenes content daily. Hope you all had wonderful holidays. Hope you all are excited for a wonderful 2023. Let's do our best, make it the best year we can, and elevate recruiting together. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you on next one.